we are far beyond that period where you can say, no, let's not use it, in part because we're unfamiliar with what it can do.
I think it's all about future-proofing when you're looking to integrate AI into your operation.
And now I believe we're at a place where it's about, yes, and perhaps this is the ways in which it makes sense to use it. And so what should companies and organizations be thinking about? What their risk tolerance is.
First, governance. So having clear processes and policies around how AI is being used, what data is fed into them, and who is accountable for the outputs. Many organizations are adopting AI faster than their governance frameworks can keep up with.
First is data rights and governance, understanding what data is being used to train or feed the system and whether the company actually has the rights to use that data. Second is the contractual risk allocation. When companies license AI tools, they need to look carefully at things like indemnities, limitations on liability, and of course representations about training data. And third is internal governance. The companies that are deploying AI successfully tend to have cross-functional governance frameworks involving legal, IT, security, and production teams that ensure AI is being used responsibly.
Yeah, I think we get that question a lot about what companies should be thinking about when they're integrating AI. And a lot of it has to do with privacy and security. When you're talking about using these AI tools, especially these free tools, like Gmail, right? We use Gmail for free, but it's not free in the essence of there's no transaction cost. We're paying with our data, right? We're providing a lot of our contacts, emails, who we're emailing, when we're emailing, and then we get ads tailored to kind of what that is. And that's a lot of these, when we're using these free public AI programs, a lot of them have terms that let them use whatever we're inputting for other training purposes. And so if we're inputting confidential client information or company information that we don't want to get out there, even templates or things that are potentially proprietary or trade secret that we don't want other people to use, just inputting them and having them into a public AI tool could potentially have somebody else who's using that tool have that document replicated. So understanding what you're giving up when you're using these tools from a privacy and security standpoint is really important.
So when companies are integrating AI into their operations, a lot of times they're focusing on risk, compliance. One thing I like to help them focus on is also their intellectual property and a chance to go back and think through not just forward-looking AI-related IP strategy, but IP strategy for traditional IP as it relates to AI. One of the really interesting areas is how much it changes trade secret strategy. That there's a lot of things that historically have been really valuable trade secrets because it took a lot of effort to create. And for a competitor to create that, it would be cost preclusive or at least very expensive. Now, some of those things can be created with AI, like that. And so those secrets, while they might still be a secret, are less valuable today. There's also data that a lot of our clients have that's really, it's already valuable internal data, but all of a sudden it can be used to train or fine-tune models or in a RAG setup, and so AI can create new value for that data.
Companies need to understand whether the data that they're using to train or prompt an AI has been properly licensed. And whether the outputs create any ownership or infringement risk.
So that trade secret might be much more valuable today than it was a few years ago. And so assessing the different IP that they have, how to best protect it, how to best use it.
When companies now start integrating AI into their operations, they should not only think about what's the right AI, what is the right result I want to have. Of course, they need to think into quality, but most importantly, responsible and ethical use of AI. So this is why we have so many human controls in our AI laws to ensure that AI is not taking control, but that we're using it in a responsible manner, in a fair manner, in an ethical manner to not harm anyone.
How can I see around that corner knowing that the regulatory landscape is not really clear? The way that the technology is developing is really uncertain and very dynamic and rapid. So trying to future-proof and figure out, hey, what can we do today to see around that corner and make sure that what we're doing with AI is still valid and still going to be workable in 1, 2, 5 years is really important.